Lottie, come on. Let's go for a walk, shall we? See how the sheep are. I think the gate's frozen. Oh, the sun's on, that's useful. Well, these aren't silly sheep, are they? You can see that they've slept out in the open in the field. And then at some point in the night, when it got colder, we moved up to the hedge boundary. Now they're sunbathing. Morning, boys and girls. Hello, Larry. Don't get up. Oh, hello, Cuddles. Time to get up. Oh, you'll all get up now, won't you? Are you thinking I might let you through into the bottom corner? Well, you might be right. Come on then. Always last, Larry. You're stiff, aren't you? Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel, my studio. Today's another super cold day, and I hope you enjoyed the little visit to our fields with our sheep just now. That's kind of inspired me to slightly change what I was going to do today. And to actually do a little landscape. It's going to be a whimsical landscape. It's going to be super easy with absolutely no heed paid to perspective or anything like that. So don't worry, don't panic, you can do this. This is my original sketch that I did the other day. This is, I did this in, you know, never say, never say I waste anything. This is my 365 Days of Art in Nature book. And I wanted to do a quick sketch, and I grabbed this and I found the first empty page I could, and I did this. This paper isn't the best for watercolouring, but it does work. This is watercolour with acrylic markers over the top. And this is literally just a whimsical, flat landscape, you know, not with any perspective to it. And I'm going to do something like this now. We've done some before, you know, with these paths and things. And I was sort of thinking kind of neurographic art as well when I drew these paths in, because, you know, the kind of curvy lines sort of give it interest, don't they? So anyway, that was where I started. And then Tamsin showed me the video of the field, and I thought, well, I jolly well better incorporate some Breton architecture in this drawing. So I started again, and I did this, which is my... you know how I say paint like a child? Well, this is it. This is me painting like a child. I quite like it, don't you? I think that's kind of got a sort of naive charm, if you like. Anyway, so then I went on to try to do my proper sketch, which is this. And here we have the field, which I'm going to transfer now into my... onto my proper paper. Here we have a big house which is opposite us, which is where our neighbour lives. This is my house. Here is the sheep's house with their little shed where they all shelter when it rains. They're not in there at the moment because it's sunny, although there's heavy frost everywhere, and a couple of sheep out here and some lines and bits and pieces. And actually the sun was just coming up, although it was already 10 o'clock, actually later even, probably more like 11. And the moon was just going down. And that's been like that this month. Actually, quite a few days we've had the sun coming up and the moon going down, or the moon coming up and the sun going down at the same time, which is unusual, actually. Well, maybe it isn't, but we rarely see both in the sky at the same time here. So I'm going to put this out the way. I won't put it completely invisible so I can see it. And then I've got my watercolor paper here. I'm going to use a sheet of cold press. I was going to do it on hot press, but I've decided that most people have probably got cold press rather than hot, so you might prefer to watch me doing it on cold, so I'll do that. This one is 12 by 9. It's a bigger sheet than I often use, but you can always, leave a big border around the outside, so I might do that. We'll see how it goes when I start the drawing. It might just run away with itself kind of thing. And here I've got a palette. This is a Meeden palette, this ceramic one here. Oh, by the way, somebody said that I'd put a link in the last video that we did to help you find the this studio table easel, and that it only went to the whole of the website, Meeden website. This is possibly true. I can't always guarantee that the links will go to exactly the product that I'm recommending, although I may well have just made a mistake. But in any case, it's not actually rocket science to try to find it once you get to the website. The main thing to remember is that you get 15% discount if you put Diane 15 in the box at the checkout. So that's a good thing. So anyway, yes, so I have Meeden palette here, a little one with 3 divisions in it, a little rectangular one, and into it I have put all the greens from my Kuretake 48 set and the Kuretake Art Nouveau set. I've pulled out all the greens because I want to do a background to this drawing when I've done it, which is going to incorporate literally 1 or 2 strokes of each colour in the background to give a really interesting and variegated wash effect behind the houses. So this is not traditional drawing painting technique. This is different. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe it's something original, maybe it's not, but I feel as if I made it up. So I'm going to put corners here like that, just to give me a little bit of a guide. I could put washi tape round there, but that would be wasteful, wouldn't it? So I'm not going to put washi tape round. And anyway, I don't really want a rigid border. I want a kind of floppy border. So that's just to give me a rough idea where to extend my drawing to. And now I'm going to sit down. I've got just any old pencil here. Doesn't matter what you use to draw with. This is an Exeter Tuition Centre pencil. Perfectly good pencil, left over from our previous business that we had a few years ago, which was closed down when the pandemic happened. Do you notice nobody talks about the pandemic anymore? Have you noticed that? Or hardly, anyway, or at least I don't hear it. So I'm just drawing a roof. And because we're doing it whimsical, we don't want any of the lines to be straight. So rest assured, if you struggle with straight lines, don't worry, that's what we want. You want your lines to be wonky. The wonkier the better, right? And we'll put some windows on the side here. This is my neighbour, Michel's house, sort of. It's not really anything like his house, but, we can pretend. It's quite a sweet little house he's got over there. And then we'll put a fence in here just to give us some kind of idea. And then the key here is to put in a path. And don't worry about perspective. I know that looks like it's going uphill, but it is. Everything's going uphill here. So then on this side here, we'll just draw. I'm going to put that out of the way because it's a bit in my way. My house is over here. And my house is just like the house that you drew when you were a kid. It's got a square, it's got a roof. It's always useful, at least we hope it's got a roof. And it is always useful. And some houses around here don't have much in the way of a roof at the moment. There's a house down the road on the way when we go shopping on the way to the shops. There's a house there that we have watched crumble over the 20 years I've been living here. And finally, the roof has fallen in. No one's going to do anything about it. There's a lady who's got a channel. She's English and she lives in the southwest of France. And she's just put up a video about what to watch out for when you come to live in France, if you come to live in France. And I know there are quite a lot of Americans over here as well, so you might want to watch her. I can't remember her name, but we'll put her in the description below. Quite funny because she says, when you buy your house, if someone says to you that there's an irregularity, But like, for example, a shared access or something, don't worry about it. They'll say, don't worry about it. We'll sort that out once you've signed the papers. She said, don't listen. Don't listen, because nothing will ever, ever, ever get sorted out. I've been here 18 years and it's still not sorted out, she said. And I thought to myself, never was a truer word spoken, actually, even in jest, because nothing will ever, ever be sorted out in this goddamn country. Sorry. No, it's not possible. It's just not possible. So we expect that the barn that fell down last year in the hurricane will still be there, fallen down. When I die, probably, more than likely, it'll still be there, gradually disintegrating. And here come the sheep. Here we go. There's one. And we'll put another one here. I don't know if you remember Kay, who does the art book Nook. She said to me the other day, Tinker loves your goats. And I said, what goats? Tinker's her dog. And apparently he likes my sheep. But I said, you know, the thing is, the difference is that sheep have wool, they have fleeces, and goats don't. They have something else. Anyway, these are sheep. I'm going to put them in here too. Talking about Kay, she's got another review up, and it is of a book called Ink and Wash in the Garden, which I think is quite a nice subject, by someone called Camilla Dambo Bricks. And you might want to pop over there later after you've watched this one and check that one out. Kay is growing her channel because she wants to retire from corporate life and relax and do nothing but just do YouTube, yes, because really it's so easy. It's such a doddle, isn't it? I'm putting in a track here to the this is the sheep's shelter. So there we are. That's the sketch, and we've got two sheep there, two sheep there. I'm not going to put all 8 of them in. We've got a house and a shelter, and then in these spaces here we'll put some flowers and things like that. Okay, so the next thing to do is to paint the greens, and the background is going to be in green, and I am going to use a number 9 round brush with a goodish kind of point. And what I'm planning to do, and I hope this is going to work, is just, I didn't put the sun in and the moon. So the sun was over here. Okay. And the moon was over here. Okay. So let's just paint green, and I'm going to start with, if I look at my one that I did originally, I had lighter greens, really, a little bit lighter at the top and a little bit darker at the bottom. And then my second version, that was a bit more random, and I've actually put some pencil on top of that, some watercolor pencil, but I'm not going to do that today. Arrtx have sent me some markers and some pencils, but I'm not sure how I'm going to review those yet, so we'll see about that. Okay, so here we've got some yellowish greens. Probably ought to spray all of this first because they're probably a bit dry. So I'll just give them a quick spritz. And I don't know whether these marks are going to turn out to be in the wrong place. I think I'll rub them out because I knew that would happen, that I would overstep the mark, so to speak. So we'll rub those out. But actually that was helpful because it showed me where I was going and all that, or coming from. So this is a whimsical landscape, and I need another palette to mix to see my colours on. That's a bit of a vile green. It's more of a yellow, really, isn't it? Okay, the thing is, don't think about it too much, Diane, because if you think about it, then it doesn't work. So this is Arrtx paint. Gansai Tambi. So this, we don't want to rush this really, because I've got to go round my houses, okay? And I'm not going to try to blend anything in. I'm just changing the color as I go along, and I don't care how weird it looks. We're just, that's a bit similar, isn't it? We just paint all the greens, all the greens. And then we'll put the details in afterwards. The advantage of using cold press paper rather than hot press is that you've got a little bit more control of where the colours blend and so on and so forth. If you use hot press paper, there can be a tendency to get puddles and things like that, which actually I personally quite like, but not everybody does. So, see, you can just kind of go over like that, and it will blend. You know, we've done this a lot, haven't we, with colour, just putting colour onto a piece of paper and letting it all blend and smush in, but without any design or purpose or what's the word, composition underneath. But today we're taking the whole thing a little bit further to a slightly different level, where we're doing this as random as possible, but we're going to put some features in it right from the get-go, right from the start. And put some nice yellow-green down here. Not quite sure how I'm going to deal with the sheep when it comes to painting them in. I've been toying with the idea of using acrylic markers. I'm not sure at the moment. There's a difference between painting without a plan and just literally letting whatever happens flow out of your paintbrush, and painting intuitively, which is not the same thing, because intuitive painting is when, I think, it's when you have an idea what you want to do, but you allow it to develop as you go along, following your intuition and letting the paint draw you forward. And so your plan changes from minute to minute, just like your intuition, you know. You might plan to cross the road, but if your intuition tells you that there's a car coming, and although you can't see it, you can sense it, you probably might change your plan and stay where you are on the side of the road, you know. It's a bit like that with painting. You can't always do what you had intended to do, because sometimes it's the wrong thing. So that's the difference. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense to people, but because I'm hearing an awful lot of very odd things from some people on YouTube. Right, so now that's completely green, and I think that is quite pretty. We've got our houses all standing out there in white, and the sheep as well. But you can still see the lines through the paint, so that I know where I put my paths and where some of the hummocks and things are for the landscape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that dry. I might give it a bit of encouragement with a hairdryer, otherwise we're going to be here all day. So I suppose the next thing to do probably is to paint the houses. And I think what I'm going to do is I shall move this out of the way for a minute and find some browns. And I did select out the browns earlier for painting that we did the other day, didn't I? But I think we've got everything we need here to do the roofs and the walls and the windows and so on and so forth here. I'm going to paint also the moon in kind of yellow. I'll do that first, I think, because the moon has been very bright yellow just recently. And now let me think. The colours of the roofs around here are grey, but that's really boring, isn't it? So we don't really want to do that. Let's make them red, shall we? Sort of pinkish red. I think this is alizarin crimson or something. What's it called? Let's see. Number 37, okay. This is number 37 for those of you who are interested. I'm going to add a bit of Indian red to that. Add a bit of dark for the back part there. We'll put this one in. It's also a similar kind of colour, but a bit greyer. Once I've painted the colours in and it's dry, I will come in with pen lines and so on. And the sheep shelter down here. Is that Lottie squeaking? You do want to mix up the colours a bit so that you get a little bit of variety. And it seems, this one seems to be particularly unwilling to vary. It's all smoothing itself out. Okay, and then we'll go with some nice dark colours for the windows, perhaps. And doors. We haven't got that. Yes, we have got that many windows. What am I talking about? And some perhaps light grey for colours of the stone of the buildings. Okay, so there we have the sun, and we'll need some yellow for that, won't we? Probably, if I can find some. Brighter than the moon. It was quite misty this morning though, too, so it wasn't really showing. And then I'm going to switch back to the bigger brush and probably switch back to the greens. Now this is dry. And without too much consideration, I'm going to put some another layer of colour. And just building up some layers of colour, dropping it in more or less wherever we feel intuitively that we wish it to be. And one of the nice things about this paper is that you can lift it a bit, so if you casually put a stroke in and it's not quite what you wanted it to be in the end, then you can kind of smush it out again. When you are building up layers, remember not to kind of contradict yourself. If you've got a yellowish green and you want to give it a bit more oomph, don't go ahead and put a blue-green on top, because that will kind of cancel it out and turn it greyish. So add more yellow, basically. Or more of a yellowish green. And here we've got a kind of turquoisey colour coming up. So we'll just do that. We want some nice strong colours in various places, and if you drop these rather lovely Arrtx paints into wet, you will get interesting effects. Okay, so we've got a fair amount of background colour there, so what we're going to do now is we'll let it dry, whack the hairdryer on, and then come in with a pen. Now, I'm going to probably use this. I'm just going to try it first, though, before I commit myself. We'll see how that goes. This is a Fudenosuke. This is a Tombow. This is what they, I think, intended as a calligraphy pen. It's kind of thick and thin kind of arrangement. So if you press hard, you get a darker line. If you press lightly, you get a thinner line. And so that's actually quite nice for doing urban sketching and all sorts of things. It's not, pen on cold press paper is not ideal because it's not smooth, but it can have, it can look okay. So basically, these lines just kind of organize the building a bit. You don't have to use line work, obviously. Do whatever you want, but right, and the shelter. It doesn't have much of a chimney. We've got chimneys, so I should put some chimneys in there. And the moon going down, and the sun coming up. And let's draw the sheep. I'm going to use some acrylic markers in a minute to put some light colours in. In certain places, but first of all I'll just do the outlines of the sheep. One thing to remember when you're doing sheep front on is that their heads are usually, they seem to be lower than their bodies. They're not up here, they're down here, set inside the lines of their bodies. Okay, so that's my hot and cold, thick and thin. Let's put another window here, I think. I think we probably need a few things like shutters and stuff like that. So I have this Arrtx acrylic marker set here, and there are 30 colours in this set. I have added a piece of ribbon so that I can lift the top layer out, and I'm going to put that to one side. And this one here is the other set. So we've got all these blues and greys and greens and things. And on this one, we've got the pinks and yellows and reds and a few purples and things. And I'm going to, I think, try my hand at embellishing this with basically these colours. And yeah, I don't really know quite exactly how this is going to work at the moment because I haven't done it before, really, not much anyway. So I'm going to get a piece of paper to try out the colours as we go along. And we'll start with the green because that's a little bit more predictable. And so I'm thinking of, you know, making this like a tapestry sort of thing with colours blending in dots and lines and things like that. So we'll see. So I'm going to use this one in several places. That's that colour, so that's this one. I'm not sure which one that is, but it doesn't matter really, it's that green. So I'll put that one there so I know that I've used it. And then there's another greyish green here, so let's see how that looks. Okay. That might look quite good on some of the darker areas or bluer areas. And then we could go to the marker pen and kind of join them up. When you're trying something out, you know, you don't have much to say about it really, because you don't really know where it's going to go. So there's no point in me saying, and what I'm going to do now is this, and what I'm going to do now is that, because this is a process, right? And I'm kind of trying to allow my mind to determine. I often find that I'm getting towards the end of a painting when I suddenly realize that I finally have reached a point where I'm beginning to be a bit more experimental and actually getting somewhere. This is a snag when it comes to doing things for YouTube, of course, because you can't say, "I'll cancel that." Cancel the first half hour of that video. That was just me playing. Even if it was. Well, I suppose you could, but I don't know whether it would be very useful for people. Maybe it would. It's difficult to say, really, isn't it? But you do have to warm up, and I suppose that's why, you know, sometimes the things that we do when we're warming up before we start are better than the things that you do when you get going, but you can always, I don't know. It's so difficult, really. It's very difficult to talk sense. This house has got its shutters closed. But if there's one thing that I would seriously speak seriously about, it's the tendency these days for people to want to copy other people. And I hope that people, when they're watching my videos, use them in the spirit which they are intended, which is, by all means, take the sketches, download the sketches, and use them for the drawings if you find drawing hard, and then do your own version with the colouring in and so on and so forth. But don't feel that you've not done it right if you haven't copied what I've done, because I am not you, you are not me, and you should do whatever happens when you pick up a pen is the right thing. That is the right thing. Not try to emulate or copy or, you know, learn from your own mistakes. Don't learn from somebody else's mistakes. Well, I suppose you could learn from somebody else's mistakes, but it doesn't have to be like that. I haven't got that many greens, so I wanted to sort of put a bit more green here, and I don't think I can do that with these markers. So let's, I don't know, let's what? I might go back to paint, actually. Having done a bit of this. Maybe what I want to do actually is the sheep. No, that's too dark. That's the problem with markers, you know, you're stuck, really. You're stuck with what colours you've been given, and although you can layer them and you get different effects, but it's quite hard. But I think I'm going to go back at the moment, right now, to paint, to these, and a little bit of shadow on the sheep. And paint their horns. Because my sheep are not white. While I'm talking about this and that, I wanted to mention a couple of people actually in the last little while have mentioned something about preferring my videos when they don't have music. Don't have music, and they've been listening to some videos and not enjoying them as much because they've not got my voice over or my commentary, but they've got music. And I just wanted to say that I think there might be a bit of confusion going on, because I haven't done videos with music for years, like literally. At the very beginning, when we first started, we did a bit have music because, and the reason was, it was actually more than I could do to talk and paint at the same time. And a lot of people, when they're first starting, they do find that, because actually it is not easy. But nowadays, I might talk rubbish, but I am at least talking live as I paint. And that's what I do. I don't do anything else. We don't play music during the videos. Some of the ones, the long ones, you might find music. You know, the very long compilations, you might find a bit of music on. Oh, stop rattling. Anyway, so just to say that if you find you're watching a video where someone is painting and it looks like my work, it might be somebody else. It might just be somebody else who isn't me, who is painting to music, a painting which looks a lot like one of mine. So just watch out for, you know, Diane Mark II trotting around out there being... We all are inspired by other people, but if we are, we should mention it. You know, this one was inspired by the blobby birds of Diane Antone. Anyway, enough of that. So what I've done is I have literally just put lots and lots of texture in the foreground over the various and assorted different greens that were here, and just enjoying the greenness of greenery. And I'm not going to put any flowers in because there aren't any flowers at the moment. I might add a little bit of rouge to the rooftops. And the sky is green because if you get down low and you look at the distance, you'll see nothing but green, green, green everywhere you go. So let me see, what have we got here? Yeah, I think that's okay. I think I might grab some black and put a few black dots in just because. Maybe a few white ones too, come to that. Someone said, how do you paint frost? I don't know. I don't know how to paint frost. Right. Well, I think I'm going to stop there. So there we are. That's that painting finished for the day. Don't forget to relax, breathe and create when you're painting. That's what we all need, isn't it? A little bit of relaxation. Hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget to check out our website where you will find the sketch for this if you wish to download it. Otherwise, just give it a go for yourself and see what comes out the end of your paintbrush. So I'll let you go now and I will see you again soon. It's time for lunch. And the sun's out, so we should go outside and enjoy that. A little bit of the ice has melted. So bye for now, everybody. Bye for now. See you soon. Bye-bye.